My stepfather made me his prisoner for 8 years, so I broke the chains and flipped the tables. After my mom died when I was 10, my stepfather got stuck with the kid he never wanted, so he decided he'd turn our home into his personal kingdom. He started with small degradations like making me eat standing up while he sat and calling me ungrateful when I asked for lunch money. But within a year, he was timing my showers and making me ask permission to use the bathroom. The worst part was how the violence escalated. When I got a B+ on my report card instead of an A, he made me stand in the corner for 6 hours until my legs gave out. When my teacher called, concerned about bruises on my arms, he stood behind me while I told her I'd fallen off my bike, his hand squeezing my shoulder as a warning. When I forgot to buy his beer on the way home, he grabbed my hair and pulled so hard that I thought my head might fall off. When the school counselor tried to intervene after I passed out in class from a concussion, he showed up in his best suit with tears in his eyes. She gets these anxiety attacks from missing her mother and sometimes hurts herself. I've been trying to get her therapy, but she refuses. The counselor ended up comforting him while I sat there silent. Later in the car, he grabbed my face hard enough to leave marks. Next time you embarrass me, remember that no one will believe you because everyone knows you're crazy just like your mother was. The night everything changed started the day I turned 18. I waited until 3 a.m. until my stepdad was asleep before bringing a garbage bag to my room. I was shoving clothes inside as quietly as possible when a floorboard creaked and my stepdad appeared in the doorway, his face going from confusion to volcanic rage in seconds. "Are you packing? Where are you going?" His voice was quiet, dangerous, the kind that preceded the worst beatings. I froze with a shirt in my hands, my heart hammering so loud I was sure he could hear it. "You can't survive out there. You're nothing, just like your mother was nothing." I finally stood up to him and replied, "I'm leaving. You don't own me." He crossed the room in 2 steps and raised his hand high. This time I watched it coming and didn't even try to dodge when it connected with my mouth. The impact spun me sideways into my dresser. "Now get back to your room," he said like I was 5 years old and not standing in my room bleeding. Something inside me died in that moment. Not hope, but fear. And I knew he'd finally pushed me past my breaking point. My boyfriend picked me up after I texted him, "Please come get me," with a photo of my bloody mouth. He didn't ask questions, just said 5 minutes, and hung up. I climbed out my bedroom window with my garbage bag and waited by the curb until his headlights appeared. In the car, he kept looking at my lip and gripping the steering wheel so hard his knuckles went white. When we walked into his house, 5 huge guys were watching TV, and I froze because who were these people? "My brothers," he said quickly, turning my face toward the light. "Jesus, did your stepfather do this?" His voice cracked, and suddenly all 5 guys were on their feet, construction workers with arms like tree trunks staring at my bloody mouth. I tried to explain through tears, expecting them to say this wasn't their problem since we'd only been dating 1 month. Instead, the oldest one said, "Where does he live?" And before I could answer, they were already heading for the door. My boyfriend stayed with me, pressing ice to my lip while I shook. 2 hours felt like 2 days before I heard car doors slamming outside and my boyfriend's brothers walked back in. They headed straight to the kitchen sink, passing around a bar of soap like they were washing off something dirty, and I could barely breathe wondering what they'd done. My boyfriend kept holding ice to my lip while we waited, and when they finally came into the living room, the oldest one's knuckles weren't even red. "It's handled," he said, and my boyfriend asked them to tell me everything so I'd know I was safe. They said they'd found my stepfather drunk in his recliner, surrounded by empty bottles. He tried to stand when they walked in, shouting about calling the cops and pressing charges, but the oldest brother picked him up by his shirt and held him against the wall like he was hanging a picture frame. "You like making little girls feel helpless?" he asked, and my stepfather's face went from angry to terrified in seconds. They made him experience everything he'd put me through, forced him to stand in the corner until his legs shook, made him clean his floor with his own shirt while they watched. The youngest brother twisted his arm behind his back in the same lock my stepfather had used on me hundreds of times, making him repeat, "I'm nothing and nobody," until his voice cracked. They left him crying on his kitchen floor after promising much worse if he ever came near me again. He never pressed charges because I guess he was scared of what I might reveal about 8 years of abuse if anyone started asking questions.